On YouTube, pretty please. Make stuff happen. Yeah. Okay. Welcome, one and all, to the greatest market show that happens on a Thursday night for the space game, Eve, and stuff. I am your illustrious, beautiful host, Lockefox, and I have lots of graphs. You should tune in for graphs because, man, I have the best graphs, the greatest graphs. Everybody knows it. Everyone knows. Oops, not that one. No, that is that one. Goes here. We click that button. How are you, internet friends? How about that spaceship game? How about the fact that I have half of my Plex graphs still broken because I have not had any time to go fix the stuff. Yep, still broken. I have been super busy. It has been a busy week here on my side of the internet. Been hustling double time. We've got training a new guy at work who is extraordinarily enthusiastic, but needs a lot of work. And I definitely don't mean that as a slight against him. He is amazing and wonderful to work with, but oh man, it's just highlighting how bad a 101 teacher I am. Like, it's bringing the doubt in for re-rolling this show as a developer-centric show. Because, like, I jumped in thinking, oh, done the whatever, like, has coded before, like, here's Python, learn Python the hard way, and here's a cookie cutter template, let's go. And we've been doing one-on-ones all week, and I'm like, oh no, I threw you in the deep end, and you're drowning. This is my fault. I've been a bad teacher. So, yeah, I feel bad. So, it has me thinking real hard. Like, and I mean, part of this is that if you've flown with me in game, you might know that I have this terrible habit that I am more than happy to discuss an encyclopedic knowledge of the deep, dark underbelly of any mechanic. Like, I'm more than happy to go into second and third order effects and really get down in the expert dirt when it comes to stuff. Like, totally my thing. But when it comes to that, like, newbie training of how I mine for fish, oh my god, I have no patience. I'm awful at it. I am so bad, and I have no patience, and I'm a jerk. And it's not fair to the people who are like, I don't even know what to Google. Please help. And I'm like, fucking casual. Like I'm a total dick. So like the one that got me was for a long time when I was in Aderon Robotics. We were very very newbie friendly. We recruited tons of newbies, like primarily newbies, and I the one question I got so fucking tired of answering was, I don't get what's a jump clone, what's a med clone, and like it was always, because it was always some new guy and it was always something, and like, well, here, let me explain to the fact that CCP is bad at naming things, and no, they aren't the same. No, seriously, they aren't the same thing. They're two totally different things. Please listen when I tell you. And then the next guy comes in, what's a med clone? What's a jump clone? I'm like, oh my God, I just explained this to so-and-so. Why weren't you online 60 seconds ago? So it's stuff like that. And I mean, it's, like I said, it's unfair. It's unfair to the newbie asking the questions. Like, what the hell are they supposed to know? So it has me worried in trying to relaunch this show when I really want to help developers go from coming off the end of something like Codecademy, where you learn all of the basics and you get, you get the lay of the land, you learn the syntax, all that good stuff, so that you can actually use the language, like physically actually use the language. And I want to be able to map that line from that starting point up to where I feel like I'm a competent dev and I can contribute to GitHub on projects that I love. Like that's the line I want to be able to draw. And I really want to help people go from, I'm a hacker who made a really great spreadsheet, to I am leveraging programming and getting paid twice or 3 or 4 times what I was getting paid before. Like that's really the goal of all the work, is that I really want to get people, help guide people through that transition. Like really focus in on the imposter syndrome part of the problem, and like, oh, this data science thing everybody's talking about, I don't get it. And like, you come through my show and you'll tune in for several episodes, like months of episodes, and finally be like, oh, no, it's easy. Like I heard from Locke and we did this thing and he explained like this statistical thing, and well, now I'm a turbo genius and everybody at work thinks I'm so smart. And little do they know, like, that I'm just reasonably well read. And like, that's where I want to put people. So because like, I want to help people understand design better. I want, like, because the big push here on the V2 Prosper stuff has always been extremely high code quality, because I know, like, after working in tests for all these years, I know that no one will use a system that's difficult, right? Like, you won't use an app that crashes unexpectedly. Like every 5th time, you'll uninstall the app. Like you won't use a programming language that spits in your hair every time you want to use it, except for JavaScript devs, I guess. And it's let's see, nanoribbon. Oops. Okay. Did we want to put T3 cruisers in here? And like, I want to give you guys the tools so that you could learn enough to feel useful, be able to contribute on GitHubs, build the resume, and come out and really be leaps ahead of the competition, to be completely honest, because the median dev out in the world fucking sucks. They think they're really smart, and they're not. And if they were half as smart as they think they were, they would be twice as smart as they actually are. So, and I don't think it's that hard. I just think that you set yourself up for success and whatever. So I'm rambling. Let's see, Moongoo. So we're going to be a couple minutes late on the start. I'm still going through the graphs, looking for the good stuff, reticulating splines, you know, all that good stuff. Vanadium. Do I care about vanadium? I think I care about vanadium. I don't care about vanadium. Okay, so then we go here. Oh, I didn't even really look at Plex. Did the thing finally break? Well, that's good news. Okay, good. Good. Okay, good. We have something to talk about this week. Well, sorry, Chris. Bad news. It's just root beer. I'm boring. We have decent stuff in the fridge, and that's the drink of the day. Saber Stabber. Did we talk about stabbers last week? Well, we're talking about them this week. So, yeah. And I mean, the other half of the thing I want to work on is I don't really want to give you guys strict tutorials. Like, that's kind of, that's a little bit, it's not so much that it's boring. Boring is the wrong word. It's that the amount of effort that goes into generating really good tutorials is very high, right? And I'm not putting it out of question. It's completely possible that we'll get there, but the problem, like, it's going to take some build up to get there, like, especially since if you do it right, then I can actually turn that into more revenue. Like, I really want to go towards, like, being able to give conference talks, and so tutorializing is kind of a piece of that. Oh my god, if I had real absinthe, I would be so happy. But preparing it's a fucking dick. The words, like, I want to go be able to give talks to stuff and say, oh well, you know, here's this thing that you should be using, and here is this you thought you knew about blank, well, let me tell you about blank. Like, that's really the level I want to hit. Extra, well, that's expected. Okay. Because that's really where I want to be. So, and by doing that, I get more editorial content. And editorial content is much easier to distribute. It means that, like, you can consume it in order, or you don't have to consume it in order. It means I can time gate if I really want to. Like, it opens a lot of doors for things to do. Yeah, and the hope is that after you know, turning it into that, we can spin up, we can get a few more people globbed into the thing, build a. I'm still trying to reach out for partners to sort of, like, I got enough guinea pigs that I do have, but I don't have as many peers, I guess is the word. People who either I can look up to directly and have that community. Like I'm sort of starting in the boonies and working my way towards civilization, which I'm fine with. Like, oh my god, I've done it. It's like my modus operandi. But I really want to go find. Really want to work my way in there and get some words. Get some inertia is the word I am looking for. So I think we have a show, a little bit on the short side, but that is fine. Bonus points to anybody playing along at home for stuff that I didn't catch. I think we're missing a good 15% of the market right now. Actually, that'd be a fifth. So I think I'm missing somewhere between 5 and 8% of the market right now because of a bug. And so we might end up in another situation where something crazy gets bought out and you're like, wow, why doesn't Lockefox catch that? And I'm like, well, it's because Lockefox has a lot of bugs and he has been too slammed to fix any of them. And he's been working his butt off trying to get the Mongo stuff standing, which shows promise. I think I have the solution to everything, but I need to code it now, which I've just had a really hard time switching gears at the end of the day, where you're like, I've been working on this thing and working on this thing, and you go home and you're like, and I'm still thinking about that thing and still thinking about that thing. Like tonight, so I've been writing test code because somebody in the test team doesn't know how to write test code. He's kind of working his way up my shit list right now. Lyco, no, I didn't fix the zombie farm graph. I'm really sorry. I haven't had any time. I might be able to fix it this weekend. And I think we might skip a show next week. I don't know. I got to double check schedules. Yeah, but like tonight I would love to go work and think on that stuff, but like I'm stuck in how do I validate all of the MongoDB queries when we didn't know to follow, like we didn't even know what the best practices were. And so the inside of that database is filthy. And if any of you guys out there have worked on MongoDB, you might understand why. Mongo just lets you write any document into the database and understand and thinks that you're smart enough that you must know what you're doing. And well, so one of the things, for instance, is you should schema check. You should do a schema check-in on the way in and on the way out of a NoSQL database. Since you've gone there, yeah, you know, whatever, and you should make sure that you're versioning your schemas as they go in and out, and you should probably have a connector that helps handle this all for you. This is what I'm working on at home right now. And so, for instance, we have basically a wild west inside the database, and the schema got fit. You know, V1 had like a shitty schema that just, you know, enough to get the thing running, and then V2 or V1.2 had enough to actually get it running every day and stop falling over. And V1.3, I think, is actually now like settled on a real schema. But oh man, trying to apply a schema to a database that never had a schema applied to it in the first place. Holy shit, what a pain in the ass. So that's been my number one problem. The number two problem, for all you Python devs, I have words for you. Go write good doc strings, okay? I was on, so give me 5 minutes to rant and we'll get the show on the road. So I have come full circle around the commenting debate, right? Is that you come out of school and everyone's like, you got to comment everything. Like, how will anybody know what you're doing? And then the next stage is, well, I mean, comments aren't compiled, so whatever comment is, this code moved without the comment changing. Well, fuck, what am I going to do? You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to use I'm gonna write better code. I'm gonna write self-documenting code. This is the biggest trap. This is where most of the people fall off, and they're like, "I'm so smart, I sniff my own farts," kind of thing. I'm gonna write self-documenting code, and well, self-documenting is a real wild ride. Like, not everyone's a poet, I guess, is the nice way to put it. Thankfully, thank God, I finally found my way around that pit hole thanks to good logging. Logging is your friend. Get a good logger. Stop using print and use logger. And then and then you come all the way around. You're like, you know what? Machines are smarter than people. Why don't we do an auto Docker? And this is a fine cycle of learning. It's fine. Wherever you land on it, it's probably fine. You should probably at least write good code, and CC2E is your friend for that. But the thing that kills me is Python isn't typed, right? Python's not typed. So you can pass anything in, pass anything out, and everything will just... ouch. Be nice, Splat. You can put anything in any variable, and anything can come out of the function. And this is really great and freeing and liberating if you're a good coder, because no more static type checking, no more can't really, can't have a return from a void, whatever bullshit. And so the TLDR is use the Sphinx format so that you have your headers and footers. Wow, rude. Okay, guys, that's what you want to be. Wait. Do. Anyone else? Really wish they made the connections easier. Oh well. And no, we didn't get econ numbers, so... Jeez, man. Gotta be rude. Sorry, bro. Gonna be rude, gonna get banned. Alright. So, now that I went ahead and banned more people than the sum total of the entire runtime of this show, love that. Okay. All right, let's get the recording started. Man, that's a real fucking bummer, man. All right, like I said, you're going to have to give me a minute. Get my head back on straight. I'm just disappointed. So disappointed. I don't know. I think there were some new people watching from SEC Lounge and got picked up, so whatever. I mean, just don't be rude. All right. We need to turn that off so that you don't get the background hum. Make my editor's life a little bit better. No AC life. All right. That button. Oh, right. Before we get started, the 5-minute preamble. Right. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Lockefox. This is the Eve Prosper Show. Quick FAQ for anybody tuning in for the first time. Show runs about 45 minutes. I don't tend to answer questions during the show. Feel free to chat in the chat rooms, both on Twitch and YouTube. I will read the chat, and we can talk after the show. We run about a 30 to 45 minute Q&A after the show. So if you guys have questions, no matter how dumb they are, more than happy to go discuss the stuff. Otherwise, I'm going to talk DevFleet stuff and bore you guys to tears. And if this is your sleep aid, then go for it. Next, if you enjoy the show, let me talk about the graphs real quick. All of the graphs are generated in-house using our tools. Everything's generated using the same tools that CCP Quant uses. We do generate off of our own databases, but all of the data sources are public. If you're interested in the sources, go check the doobly-doo down below. There is everything in there. We're a Python house, and try to keep all the sources as open as possible. Next, bad news if this is the first time you're tuning in, but episode 100 is going to be our last show on the air. Thank you for everybody who has tuned in up to now, but the end has come and it's time to go work on some new stuff. Though, don't hit that unsubscribe button. We do expect to come back in a slightly different format, less Eve focus, more data science developer focus. Hopefully bring some more people in, get things going so we can be a little bit more professional and maybe help you guys make more real life money instead of space money. That's sort of the idea. Do get subscribed to our Discord channel down in the doobly-doo. That's the very best way to get in touch with me. Is through our Discord. I do check all of the places, so you can still contact me on Twitch, on YouTube, on Twitter, in-game if you want. But the very best place to get in touch with me is through Discord. With that, oh, and last but certainly not least, if you do want to watch us in glorious 1080p, do go over to YouTube at Eve Prosper. So that is where the highest quality graph porn will be streaming tonight. With that, let's go ahead and start pressing some buttons, get this show a-rolling. Now that I have found my center again, because I'm just that much of a Seattleite. Do. Good evening and welcome to episode 98 of the Eve Prosper Market Show. I'm your host Lockefox, and we are streaming live through the power of the internet to both Twitch and YouTube. If you want to catch us live, you only have a couple more chances to do so. That's at 0300 Thursday nights. 0300 Friday nights Eve time, Thursday night US time on Twitch and YouTube. But before we get way into that, let's go talk about some show stuff real quick. So again, welcome to the show. If you want to follow us, the very best ways to do so is just remember Eve Prosper. That'll get you to Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and our blog. We are, like I said in the intro, we are ending at episode Glorious 100 because I cannot count any higher. And it's been a great run, but it is time for things to change. So please do not get unsubscribed yet. I do believe we have some new content in the pipeline for you guys that you may enjoy. Think a little more real life, a little less space money. Try to work on developer and data science stuff in the real world, and bring that content to you guys in a way that demystifies some of the black magic, smoke blowing kind of stuff. With that, if you want to support the show for the last few episodes we are on the air, the very best way to do so is through our Patreon, which will be running to the end of June. If you want to throw a couple of bucks in the beer fund, or you want to help keep the servers running with our services like the Profit Endpoint into perpetuity, this is your best chance to get on that train, because the doors will close at the end of June. Every dollar that goes into the pot will go towards keeping those servers running, and so we can continue to run in perpetuity. And RIP to the Eve Guides guy who got screwed by the by PayPal. I really feel for you, but we're trying to avoid that by self-hosting and getting everything distributed so that we don't have to rely on a system that might screw us. So if you can't support us directly, that is completely fine. Absolutely understandable. Do get subscribed, though. Do tell your friends about your favorite market show. And if you're really sad that we're going off the air, we are not the only market show out there. I encourage you to go check out... I'm usually better at this. Go check out Rodin at EVNT TV on Tuesday nights at 0100 Eve time. Actually, Wednesday Eve time, Tuesday night US time. Number 2 is to go check out Christopher Mellen on YouTube with Miner Metrics, who's doing daily, I think he's still doing daily, mining review and updates. He's also doing some amazing stuff over at Eve News 24. You should go check him out. He is going to be running the world here in a year or so. And then the one, the only, the original, of course, is DeLone Wolf over at Eve Talk on YouTube. The inspiration for this show, and will continue going after my retirement. So 07 to you, good friend. With that, I think that's enough intro, enough flapping, and Twitch has calmed their tits. So let's go ahead, press the buttons, pull the lever, and get this rolling. Buttons. All right, we start the show where we always do with Plex, which was on an astronomical rise, up over 2.6 million with the new mini Plex. That is a parity level of what, 1.4 billion. But the that heat has broken. So I had said last week that we were in such a spot that this is hard to predict. Seeing as we've gone so high off the relative strength index, we've run so strong. It ends up in a place where all the tools break down. You're kind of like, whatever, just I don't know. You kind of throw your hands in the air. It's kind of like what's going on with Bitcoin these days. Everyone's like, oh, it's going higher. It's going to go higher forever. Oh my God, $1 million. Oh, it's going to be amazing. And then the bubble pops and everybody's poor and destitute. And oh my God, I lost my house. So that's the problem here. Is it's kind of like, the bubble will pop, but you don't know when, how. It's a falling knife thing. It's a real pain in the ass. So the heat has broken. And we're back down to, I guess it's 2.8 was where we were at the top, and we're down to 2.7, which is good. Good to see the heat dissipate. But if we zoom all the way out to a 1-year view, it's still not great. We're still a lot hotter than I believe we really should be. I'd like to see Plex under 2.6 million from where we're talking about right now, especially since volumes are a little on the thinner side. What I think we'll end up seeing when the May numbers come out, though, is that liquid cash in the system right now is just so ridiculously high. And this is the thing I was warning about. And I should just contain my rant until the numbers come out, because I'm going to have a really good rant about this. That a hot system can be stable, but a hot system goes wrong faster. And I think that we've ended up in wrong because the economy has slowed down as we head towards final season, and we're going to go into the summer, which is a traditionally slow period for MMOs. And we have a lot of cash, a staggering amount of cash in the system, and nowhere for all of that energy to go. So I think that the Plex picture is going to get worse before it gets better. And I think you need to be strapped in for higher than a 1.5 billion per month price, and we could hit a 2 billion per month price in the November spike if the numbers worked out correctly. Like that wasn't distinctly possible before the split, and it's now really a scary possibility. And the rant I did have, and I'm going to keep saying it because we're running out of time on it, is that the thing that needs to be fixed here is ratting incomes are too high. Like, they've been too high since Ascension. They've been too high since before Ascension, but Ascension really, kicked it off. And it's really, so on one hand, it's tied the devs' hands because it's basically some 70 or 80% of the cash coming into the game is coming from rats. So that's the only lever they have to turn that big chunk of the economy. So it doesn't give them much flexibility on what to do to talk about sinks and faucets. And it's going to the sort of people who are just farming it out and not really using it. And I know I've been catching flack recently from the Goonies and some of the null bears out there, but like sitting on these fat stacks, quote unquote, preparing for war, it's not, if the ISK isn't being moved, if it isn't going into the velocity statistic, it gets rotten and it's bad for the economy. So I'm not particularly happy about it. I think Plex is too high too fast right now. I think there's too much cash in the game as of right now. There's not enough destruction to balance that out, and the time to fix it is quickly running out because European vacation season basically starts last week of July, and so we're getting into the last sprint. So you better like the levers you have to pull to fix this. Either you fix it in June, by the end of June, or it stays broken until the middle of August, or even into into October, which is just gonna make a big fat mess. So I'm not very happy about this. I really hope Recurve comes in and swoops in and like nukes Sanctum payouts like 20%, but like that you're running out of time, you're running out of runway, and there's just no things are getting dangerous. And Plex is going to continue to skyrocket if we don't get the ISK thing out of if we don't get the ISK thing under control. I don't love talking about the inflation. Like, I don't love talking about inflation. I think that it's a bandied about too much. But in this case, I think that we're in danger. We're in danger of going hyperinflation on Plex and causing some real messes down the line. So, speaking of Plex, the reason that I at least can breathe about Plex is we're starting to see the supply chain come back. We were really thin right after the split, thanks to the order canceling effect. And after that, so this is normalized for monthly playing cost. And so this is essentially what Plex used to be. If we think about it in the split, we're still really thin. I'd like to be over 1,000 units on the market, and I guess that'd be 5,000 units. 500,000 units on the market, and we're running real thin on the ground for actual supplies. So it's getting better. It's just not getting better fast enough. Looking at skill injectors again. Sorry to all of you zombie farmers. The graph is still broken. I hope to have it fixed this weekend. I've got a developer to-do list longer than my arm, but it's high on my list to get done. We're starting to see supplies get really thin as the wave comes back through injectors. Looks like the new higher cost of Plex is finally getting attributed for. And at least one of my predictions is coming halfway right, is that this has been sort of the place to hedge your bets. And I think this may overcorrect in the positive in the short term. We might be able to see a spike up to 775, especially if we keep under this 400 units mark. And it's getting into an unstable spot. It's a little too late to jump on the bandwagon as a speculator. And Chad is pointing out, I know I'm not supposed to talk to chat, but Chad is pointing out that mini injectors were added, and I haven't had any time to read up on them, so I have no opinions. Go check out Rivra and the SCC Lounge if you want to talk more about those. I am sure Marsha Mallow has tons to say about them. I am way behind. Moving on to market indexes. We still have the bug in the RMT markets because, again, this is another broken plot that needs to have the split taken care of. But the thing that I was almost going to not include this, right? I was gonna remove it from the thing and say, look, the net trade thing's broken. But the big piece of news here is the slump in everything but Plex, where mining is down, ships continue to slide under the 1 trillion mark is a place I do not like seeing them. And just for scale, this does not include all the way back to World War B, does it? I should fix that. We're under where we should be with Ascension and free to play, and we're like extraordinarily weak. And looking at the kill numbers, like, you can totally see exactly why. We've really slumped in actual destruction numbers here in counts and in value. We're under the 1 trillion mark in value, which is just unacceptable. That's pre-Ascension normal. So, like, seriously, for all of the herf and derf and bluster, like, people are not PvPing like they used to. Even with faction gear, and even discounting Tech 2 stuff, even all of the super capital proliferation, that's a word, that the number of things getting destroyed and the value actually leaving the game is churning slower. And the slower this cog runs, the slower the economy runs, the less volatility there is, the less opportunity there is for speculators, the less margin industrialists are going to make because the product doesn't move. Like, this is the engine of the economy, and it is slowing down, and it is not looking pretty, looking across the bow. So I am not particularly happy about this, but I don't know what to do other than continue shit talking in the hopes that people will fight. But like, seeing as I don't have a horse in the race, my shit talking doesn't really get people fighting, except they fight me, but I don't undock. So GG. Moving on to minerals. Let's talk about minerals. Let's talk about something good. Tritanium staying steady at 4.5. Not a lot to say. Wonderful to see some volume coming back into the market. Not a ton to say. Tritanium, looking in, the volumes are getting a little bit hot, but not overly so. We might see a little bit of downward pressure to get us back down to 4.4, but things seem steady. Volumes coming out of mining seem about steady. Not a lot to say here. Pyrite, though, holy crap. I think I said last week, and this is why I need to go write my stuff down, is that this was at a decent place to buy in, but I'm pretty sure I told you guys not to, because it was going to be like you'll probably make money, I just don't know when. And then all of a sudden we break out from 5.2 up to 6.2 in a huge reset. And we can really see why there is a big buyout going on across pyrite. And well, depends on what flavor tinfoil hat you're wearing. This looks leaky if I were doing it, because again, we're not seeing the PvP numbers to back it up. When we look at fuel, we're not seeing the preparations for war going on. Most of the guys who are doing super capital production are vertically integrated, so it's not like, I don't really expect the supply chain to be slumping. This kind of looks more like some people know something that the rest of us don't. And I'm not sure exactly what. Like, so this is me being really flat-footed on the meta. I'm usually better at chasing this stuff down, but big reset in prices, big shortage on the ground, big opportunity here in the buy order space, which is closing quickly. So if you're watching this live, like, get your sub 5.5 buy orders in, because that door is closing. But it's definitely interesting. And I mean, I have been reading the news, of course. I can't not read the news. And when I'm not having a brain aneurysm over how fucking awful the world is, like, nothing came across my feed that hints at this, right? Like, we have the Alliance tournament going on. Well, the Alliance tournament's maybe gonna get Plex, but not until the bidding round. And well, rebalances are coming, but they're coming in the T3 realm, so that's not pyrite. No capital rebalance really going on. Like, there's there's a lot of it's weird. It's weird. I'm not seeing why it should be going on. All of the action right now should be on Plex and maybe in the T3 markets and the T3 subsystems, but not in pyrite. So I'm wondering what's going on here. Moving on, and this is the other half of the coin, right? So Mexilon keeps slumping, and Mexilon is our canary in the coal mine for capital production. And supplies on Mexilon are nice and healthy. So pyrite is being bought out, but Mexilon is oversupplied. And like, it's a great chance to be buying in sub 69 if you can. But like, this is really strange to see pyrite on one hand getting bought out in huge droves and Mexilon not following suit. So it doesn't look like it's going into capitals. So I don't know where it's going. Is it Ritaru's? Not Ritaru's. what are the Sotoyos don't really take that much materials, right? And like they're all PI, and the PI markets aren't going up. Like, why is pyrite going up and nothing else is? So yeah. Isogen in the dumpster this week. It was hot last week. I thought we were going to stay steady over 50 in the 52 range, but I was wrong. Isogen disappointing me every week like a stepchild. Isogen is in the dumps. Now, it's interesting to see it collapse so hard because it's not really that oversupplied. When we look at it, the oversupply is just a hair over, and that if you just given me the bottom graph, I would say we should still be at 50. So I think we're undervalued at the moment. This is a decent chance to jump in and buy on Isogen, and I don't really say that lightly. So go ahead and temper that as you normally would for lock predictions. And just it's very strange that this is dumping, pyrite is flying, like what the hell? I think it's undervalued at the moment, and it's a good chance to buy in. 48, buying in at 48 and aiming for a 52 is almost enough margin. I don't know if you can get all the way up to 52, but you know, buying at a 45, 46 and getting out at 50, 51 might be the play here. So this is not a bad chance to jump on Isogen, even for all the crap that I give it. Noxium was hot. I thought it was going to stay hot, but I was wrong once again. We're under 360. I'd like to caution people who do like to pattern recognize that we can see doubles. Like betting on a 2 cycle is not terrible. It's hard to know when to bet on a 2 cycle is kind of the problem, but I have a really hard time betting on a 3 cycle, and like buying at 360 isn't terrible. Sorry, not 360. Let's buy at 350. But you can see that the supply is pretty hot right now, so I'd expect to stay at 350. Again, same problem as the pyrite thing is that all other signals are in lockstep with our expectation for how much activity is going on. We expect that mining should slowly oversupply because there's just not enough getting destroyed. Production is usually about 3 times what destruction is. And as destruction slumps, production lags real bad. People are really bad about checking their numbers. So I expect to be under 350. And again, I wouldn't really bet on a pop. Now, getting in at that 340, 325 level isn't terrible, but I don't think it's a good long-term bet. It depends how long you want to hold it. And like crystal ball gets really fuzzy outside of about a 6-week time cycle here. So not sure what to tell you for a long-term speculation. Moving on to Zydrine, we finally crashed under that 1,000 floor, and we're heading towards 900. And this is buy speculation in this is buy speculation at work, is that we see people propping up the price, and as soon as those crash into each other, we're going to drop, and we get down to 950. And I think that this train can slide all the way down to 900. I think that the volume needs to go up like another 10 or 15% before we can get to 900. But being under that 1,000 ISK mental barrier means that we have a lot more room to fall. So this could get really interesting in the upcoming weeks and might be a chance to watch for overcorrection. I'd be watching for the buy order flow. I'd be really watching the buy orders tight on something like adamforeve.eu, where you can see the buy and sell order depth, and looking for places to perhaps jump on close to the 900 floor, because this isn't a place that a big sell-off where somebody panics could easily drop the price under 900 on the buy side. where the sell might take a lot more time to get there. So this is a decent speculator turnaround station trader kind of opportunity, but you got to be on the ball. This is not a sit and wait. This is an active every day, check your numbers kind of thing. Next, Megasite had busted through the floor on a big sell-off ahead of the Plex split, but has stayed steady at 1,200. Not a lot to say here. Volumes are staying steady. Prices are slumping. We should see volumes get a little bit higher, heading towards the 125 million range. I'm not sure if we'll crash the price out of Megasite. It's a little bit of an unstable, foggy position. You might want to check the buy order depth, but I think this is reasonably uniform, and you're not going to see a lot of good opportunities to sit at like 115 or 116 and hope that it crashes down through you. I don't think the order depth is going to be really good for playing here. And then last, darling of the show, Morphite is down pretty hard this week. Hit 850. 8.5K this last week, but has rebounded to the 9K mark. Again, going to reiterate, this is my long bet for the end of the year, and I would be buying up very slowly, very gingerly. The thing you really want to do is be picking up these opportunistic buy orders down in the 8.5 when somebody sells off. Again, watching those buy and sell order depths is really going to be the key to maximizing returns and avoiding getting yourself screwed, because there's no reason you should pay retail on a bet that long. You really need to be grabbing up, like you shouldn't even be paying buy retail prices. You should be putting in discounts of 10. You should be baking in a 4% discount right off the bat. And waiting for these big sell-offs so that you can get a slice of the action as it crashes through you. So that's the play here. We'll see where we go. Still 50-50 on whether I'm going to be at all right, but if you play this low and slow, you're at least going to be able to unspin a bad decision that's small rather than jumping in whole hog on like a 10 billion-isk bet and sitting on it for 6 months, and the market goes the opposite way, and you're ruined. You lost 30%, and Lockefox's fault, and he's not even here. I'm gonna cry into my space beer. Like, make it low, make it slow. Keep your eye on the news. If the stuff coming out for the moon mining rebalance doesn't look favorable, slowly unspin that position. Like, this is a long, slow bet. This is tortoise kind of stuff. So don't burn yourself out. Next, moving on to fuel. Fuel has been pretty interesting this week. Still reiterating the point that I think that helium and hydrogen are undervalued, especially ahead of the moon mining rebalance. But the moon mining rebalance isn't for several months, so it's a real tough pill to swallow. Buying in a big stockpile now and waiting for your payday when it finally shows up. We'll see when that happens. It was interesting to see that Galente Fuel had its moment in the sun, but has come back around, and nitrogen is fallen back down to that 800 steady state. Looks like the lockout on new POS industrial structures is really taking a toll on industrial operations, and people are finally converting over to ECs instead. So interesting to see that we're steady at 800. I'd expect it to stay relatively there. I wouldn't make any big bets otherwise, though I do expect helium and hydrogen to at least get to 750. I just don't know when. Next, fuel markets are steady and stable. Not a lot to say here. Not a lot to say in the sub-markets, in the PI markets either. We're actually going to drop P4s this week. There was nothing to talk about, so PI markets are pretty stable. Strontium clathrates continue to stack. Lots of supply on the market, and doesn't look like anybody's going to go into a Sav war, which is breaking my little Lord of War heart over here. That nobody's taking up a big fight. Heavy water is getting a little thin on the ground, says that perhaps we're finally seeing people get into their habits for mining fleets. There also might be a lot of people just holding the stuff. The supplies are a little bit shorter than I'd expected and are poised for a decent pop if you're a betting man, but I don't know if there's really enough action here to be gambling. You might make 5 or 6%, and that's really not enough to justify the kind of money you'd have to put in. Next, moving on to outliers. Not a lot to say here either. Nanotransistors are high, but looking at the moon markets underneath them, looks like that party is coming to an end. I'd want to get out of nanotransistor bets if I were holding them. The rest of the middle is looking weak. Fullerenes are down. Hypersynaptic fibers are down. There's a little bit of joy maybe in the low ends. Down in silceramic fibers could be turning around, or at least have a good on-ramp for buying. But the rest of the market is just looking pretty dull as we look out across stuff. Just the photonic metamaterials showing a high spot right now. Next, moving on through our outliers. Like I said, we're skipping P4s because there's just no action in them. There's not a lot to say, so we're not including them. Viators this week, way up, big buyout. Might be a sign that there's a burn event coming up, but could also be a supply shortage. There was a big buyout, big sellout. Prices are probably going to come crashing down this weekend. I'd expect to be back under 130 million. But if you're watching right now, you might get a chance to cash out. I'd be watching for overcorrection going into the weekend. We might see that there's an on-ramp somewhere in the 135 million. The prices stop falling and start tracking up into Sunday. You jump out by Wednesday and Thursday. It spikes over the weekend and crashes like a rock the next Monday. So it's another risky spot, but at least I feel a little bit better about the gamble here. I think that you could make a decent amount of money for the gamble. I just don't know. I don't know what the on-ramp is, unfortunately, here. So you're gonna have to do your math there. Next, the Zealot was triggering our analysis. It's been down in the dumps lately, but looks like it might be recovering. I'd be really careful here. Volumes are super thin, so this could overcorrect under 120 million. Keep a close eye on this. I think that a decent buy-in opportunity may be coming in the next 5 days, but it's going to be a really thin one. I wouldn't want to buy more than maybe 10 units of this stuff because you're going to be stuck holding it for a while. Next on our list of interesting ship patterns that are extremely low volume is Arazus, another favorite. I have a soft spot in my heart for the Arazu, but prices spiked over the week with a big sell-off. That's kind of weird to see this much actual orders moving and the prices going up. Big buy-in. Buy-in is the word we were looking for. Big buy-in, resetting the prices. This might have been an alliance tournament sort of thing where somebody was speculating on that, so we may not get the double dip. But I like going into the weekend. I think there's a decent on-ramp, but it's risky, and I don't know if you'll actually make your money back. Next interesting one coming from the faction warfare land, Caldari Navy shield boost amplifiers are a bit down this week. Looks like there's a big sell-off coming from the Caldari right now. Good chance to be jumping in for some undervalued meta gear, but again, be careful. The supply volumes here are in the tens, so I wouldn't want to hold more than like 40 units of this stuff for when the price resets. Next, moving on to prediction review, where we figure out if I know what the fuck I'm talking about, and longtime fans of the show will know that I don't. Gonna go look in at T3 cruisers. These are going to be the darlings for the next few weeks as the T3 focus group comes together. prices are down. Thank you, Probag Bear, for trolling me once again last week with your resets. The interesting thing to note in the T3 markets, my favorite canary here is to watch the nanoribbons, and they were taking a beating for a few months as a bunch of the wormhole guys were trying to cartel it and like hold back some volume to try and rescue the prices, but there wasn't enough T3 volume to really justify that kind of cartelling. Prices in the raw material markets for here are pretty stable and might actually be the better place to place bets, in the hopes that when they land the new position for T3s, that, well, I mean, they can't get much worse, right? Like, we can't get much lower than we're almost at 100 million on buy orders here across the board. Like, they can't get much worse. Buying in on the buy order side, on the material side of the picture, might give you a chance to ride the wave ahead of the wormhole guys who are looking for their payday. This might be the way to basically get ahead in line from the wormhole guys, is to buy up their cheap mats once they start once they sort of figure their shit out and prices start going up. Once supply chains start going around, like, then you jump in, you sell to those guys, you sell them back their own shirts, kind of thing, is the move I'd be looking to make if I were in that market. And again, T3Ds in this case, down pretty hard. Hecate is down under 30 mil. Jackdaw is really weak. Sveeple is really weak. I don't expect these to turn around as much, but again, this is, you know, if you're going to bet on the second order, if the raw materials go up, then the T3Ds should follow. So this is another second order bet you could do. I think it's a little more risky because you still expect people to buy the final product. I like speculating in the industrial side. That might just be bias. So, and then last, I believe we talked about Stabber Fleet issues last week being way high ahead of a great chance to sell off, and we see a big price reset into this weekend. A great chance to buy in because we're slightly overcorrected here, just barely, like by a hair. Here, and it was a decent chance to buy in. We're going to go into the weekend. Looks like we're going to see another positive spike going into the weekend. So it's probably too late to jump on this train. The crossover was 2 days ago, and you really need to be. This is the problem of having a weekly show, is that unless the crossover is like tomorrow, I can't really give you the easy bets of like, make a ton of money doing blank. But yeah. And last, but certainly not least, a extremely disappointing violence report. Finally, excavator mining drones are showing up on the list. That warms the cockles of my heart to see those on there. I'm hoping that number just keeps on growing up to the 100 units destroyed a week. 100 units destroyed a day would make me so happy. Oh man, this is my favorite thing right now, is that the excavator drones are finally showing up on the list. But it's partially because the list here is just so thin on things to do. So everyone else is making up the list as we usually see. Vexor Navy issues are ahead, higher than usual. Macarials are lower than usual. The rattlesnakes are pretty low. The counts are a little bit disappointing. The value destroyed are super disappointing. Active systems, regions. I put them in the wrong order. Hold on. I'm a professional. This is fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Systems. The system is down. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. And I don't think those regions are right. Thank you in advance, Christopher. You are my friend. Saving me from looking like a complete idiot. Okay, back to it. Present. That button. All right, back into it. Looking at active systems. Things are really quiet. No nullsec on the list. So sorry, guys who are in the nullbear, all you nullbear guys. If you don't show up on the list, you're not really doing the job, right? Like, you're supposed to be in badass low security space, and all of the fighting is happening in the closest is Camella. Like, seriously, guys, go get off your asses and kill each other, for fuck's sake. And then looking at the active PvP regions, Catch is the only Catch and Providence making up the back of the class. Like, seriously. Oops. That button. Let's try that again. Thank you, chat. All right, talking about active systems. The interesting thing on the active systems list is that there are no nullsec systems on the system list, guys. So all you nullbears who say I'm being so unfair to Goonies, like, fucking kill each other. You're supposed to be out in no security space, and you're not fucking killing each other. Like, you're really not. It's really not that badass, right? Stop shooting NPCs and shoot each other. Get on it. Looking at the active regions, Catch and Providence bringing up the null picture there, but they're beat out by Black Rise. Once again, faction warfare is having way more PvP fun than nullsec. The only thing that's keeping nullsec in the running is big whelps in Catch and Providence in the last 2 weeks. So, like, if you guys are such badasses, why the hell aren't you just killing each other instead of making trucks of money? Like, seriously, how boring is that? Anyway, so that's going to be our show. I want to thank everybody who tuned in live. You can tune in live for the last couple of shows we have on the schedule at 0300 Friday nights. That's Thursday night US time. You can tune in on both YouTube and Twitch at Eve Prosper. I want to thank everybody who tuned in live. I want to thank Christopher Mellen, who is our editor, who makes sure that all of you YouTube guys watching the VOD get all of the flubs removed, because he is amazing at his job. Go check out his show, Minor Metrics, and check out his work on Eve News 24. If you want to support the show as we sunset the things, do check out our Patreon at patreon.com/EveProsper. If you want to keep our services on running in perpetuity, whether I'm here or not, that is where you need to go be putting dollars in the beer fund, because that is what's going to keep the lights on in the long term. And I'd like to remind you, after today's fallout from Eve Guides, where the guy got burned off of PayPal shenanigans. This is a much safer way for us to raise money. This is a much easier way for us to secure the future of our tools, is through our Patreon fund. So that's my pitch there. If you can't support us monetarily, that is perfectly fine. Do get subscribed. I know that the show here is ending, but if you like the graphs, if you like the economics, if you like getting way too deep into things that probably don't matter, you should stick around, because I am going to have a treat for you guys on the technical side. And very last, before I close the broadcast out, if you want to get in touch with me, the very best place is on our Discord. Links to come join should be down in the doobly-doo below. And that is the absolute best place to get in touch. I am active on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and the blog. Not so much on the blog. I'm moving the blog eventually. Should stay at eveprosper.com. But the best place to get in touch with me is on Discord, and I answer PMs. I love talking to you guys and answering your questions. Come talk to me there. Anyway, with that, I'm going to end the show. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I have been your host, Lockefox. This has been the Eve Prosper Show, and I am signing off. Ugh. All right. And to everyone everyone on the chats watching live, this is your time. We do 30 minutes or roughly of Q&A time, and if you have questions, I have answers, or I at least have rambling bullshit to help answer your questions. Large skill injectors. Oh, that was gross. Luciferous Kiwi is asking why we're ending the show. To be honest, it's two factors. One is real life job is making it really hard to keep up with this show. I have a lot of real life opportunities that are making it hard to get the time that I used to be able to devote to this show. And the other half is that because of that, it's been really hard to stay appropriately active in Eve to really be meta voice. So, as you saw, if you're watching the show earlier, I had completely missed being able to call the mini skill injectors. So like this is part of that cost, is that I just can't keep as active as is required to keep this show really running. So and like the last piece is that as I run into true bitter vetness, like this anime war thing has got me way up on the bitter vet tree. Like the honest truth is that if I'm not enthusiastic, I'm not going to make a good show, right? I don't want to have a show here where I'm telling you that the game that you love sucks. It's bad for business. Like a rant here and there is fun, but like if I'm not in there with you guys, I'm not a good. It just doesn't work, right? Like it doesn't. Being a constant bitter vet is a real fucking downer. I hate reading blogs by like. I hate reading the guys who write every fucking year the Eve is dying. It's over. Everything's been shitty since this one patch note that was 2 years ago, and everything I love is awful. Like, it's cute once in a while, but like, if you're not going to be positive, like the world out there sucks. If you're not going to be positive about a fucking video game, like, Jesus. Go find something else to do. And I mean, if you guys are, and you know, to all of you guys who are loving it, keep doing it. There is no other game like Eve, and you never really quit Eve, right? Like, I've played the game for over 12 years. Like, quitting is not really the word for it. Retiring absolutely is. And like the real crux of it, like the thing that would get me back, the thing that and I've told this to Rise when I was at Vegas, was that like you can't play Eve for less than 1 hour. And that's the real thing that kills me right now, is that I don't have a ton of contiguous time. And when I do have tons of contiguous time, I have things I need to be doing otherwise. I don't have kids, at least, but like I have a very busy job. I have some big I have some big plans. Like, I really do want to run this towards more dev fleet stuff. And I really want to go grow that personal brand. And it's really hard to keep that aligned with Eve anymore. Like that's the real crux of it. And so, like, I am a little bit bitter vet, especially about the anime war not really being a war. Like that's my real bitter vet. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You're just slinging memes and you don't even fucking shoot each other. ISK is at a historically cheap rate and you can't be bothered to fucking shoot each other. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's what's killing me right now. Like, ISK has never been cheaper in EVE's history. ISK has never been cheaper, and the guys who are making the most of it are so risk averse to make the high-sec bros look like badass Mad Max pirates. Like, that's the thing that gets me bitter vetting, is not that CCP has failed us. The only thing they've failed on is letting the ISK fountain thing go out of control. But the fact that you're making money hand over fucking fist, and you cannot be bothered to burn it on blowing up fake spaceships just so you can see a wallet number run up. Like, play Cookie Clicker if you just want to see numbers go up. Like, that's my... Okay, I should cap this, or I'll go all night about it. Like, seriously. It just pisses me off from an economic standpoint that if we're going to end up in a hyperinflation thing, and we're on a road to do so, we're finally in a place where I think that we can talk about inflation. And longtime fans of the show will know I fucking hate talking about inflation. It's an overused word. It's not the right word for the way things work. Because CPI in EVE, the cost to actually be a profession in EVE, stays incredibly flat over time. So, like, inflation only accounts for Plex, and that's really like saying that gold bullion is your only inflation measure, and it's more complicated than that. So it's frustrating. It's really frustrating to watch, because, and I said this, I did a whole thing last week where if we hit 2 billion a month, right? Like, Plex hits 2 billion a month. Let's say that means that if you're going to go to a bar and you're going to go buy, if you're going to go out for a regular bar run, let's say $40 is what you're going to spend. So that means you could basically get 5 to 6 billion ISK for a beer run, right? For a night on the bar. You could flat out pay for a small capital fleet, and for you and your buddies, and go whelp them for the money you spend at the bar every week. If we hit 2 billion a month Plex, like, we talk about ISK being so cheap, and I know there's a whole contingent out there that really hates playing the hates it when the like news outlets are like, $300,000 destroyed in EVE battle. But, like, turn it around and talk about the dollars per ISK, the ISKs, the number of ISK you get per dollar at 2 billion a month is not trivial. And when you start looking at your money making scheme and you're thinking, well, I got to make 2 billion, like, I got to make 2 billion a month grinding. Like, fuck that shit. That's obnoxious. Like, I'll pay my subscription fee, and I'll just use the profits directly. Well, I mean, that's one conversion you can do. Or you go the complete other side of it and you say, well, fine, you want to pay to play? Then guess what? I'll be a whale, and I'll put in $40-50 and I'll get something for it, because I can go ahead and get almost any goal achieved for not a whole ton of money. The only top end of the thing that really doesn't work out is getting really heavy on, like, the Satoyos, and heavy into super caps is about the only thing that you can't do. But, like, you want to go try incursion running? Easy. That's $30, and you can be not even $30. You could be in for $15. You could have all the shit you need, and you could be chumming it up in the incursion fleets. You want to go run wormholes? Fine, $30 gets you and a bro out there, actually doing the things. So like, it's shitty, and I don't think that people should be paying in like that. Like, I think that that's just going to really run the ball off the edge of the cliff. But like, the other side of the hyperinflation coin with a virtual economy is that you hold the keys with real dollars. So and at some point you got to say, you got to look at the accounting and go, man, you know, if I'm grinding for Omega status, how much of my month is going into just keeping the lights on, and how much am I playing the game as opposed to working a second space job? And like, I get the working a second space job. Like, this is why I can't play Factorio. I won't even install it because I know that I'll lose a month of my life. I'll come out dazed with a big old beard because Factorio might as well be crack cocaine for a guy like me. But like, Eve is a long game, man. Eve is a very long game, and where you might get out of Feed the Beast mode or out of Factorio in a month or two. Eve is a years-long thing, and you really want to be grinding for years. So I don't. I don't like where we're heading. I'm hoping we can get it fixed. I am pessimistic about CCP fixing it, especially with the way that the Council of Null Management is figured out. I don't think the only person who would bring it up, I think, is Aerith, and he's going to go ahead and sit on his smug ass about how much fake space money he's making. And nobody else is really prepared. Nobody's really prepared to fight him on it. And that's the thing that kind of pisses me off. Like, this is why I was pulling so hard for Rodin, is that, and nothing against Commander A's. I mean, he's a wonderful dude. But we were pulling for Rodin because I wanted another economic voice on there that was not nullsec, because none of the other null guys are going to fight it, and Steve can fight on the industrial side, but he's not ready to fight on the economic side. Like, he is wonderful at what he does, and he knows his way around the API, and he's an incredible gift to the community, but he does not know his macroeconomics the way that Aerith does not know the way Minna did, does not know the way the SCC Lounge guys do. Like, that's my real problem. So yeah, and I mean, not to pull a libertarian card, but it's kind of do Eve has been free to play for years, right? Eve has been free to play for years and years. You just had to be willing to turn enough cash into gold. And I feel for you guys who are annoyed that are getting squeezed by the higher Plex prices, but like, at some point I have to say, there is no Eve minimum wage, right? There's no space minimum income kind of thing, that universal income to there's no space safety net other than real life dollars. And being an anarcho-capitalism simulator, I don't like, as much as I do lean reasonably hard left economically. When it comes to Eve is anarcho-capitalism the game. And anarcho-capitalism doesn't give a fuck if you can eat. Like, like, take the real economy out of your head for a second. If you're going to go like full balls to the wall libertarian, the economy doesn't give a shit if you starve to death. This is the problem I have when I'm fighting with my like casual libertarian bros of like, no, the invisible hand will do it. Like, no. You don't understand. The invisible hand likes monopolies. The invisible hand thinks that lawyers are worth more than engineers. The invisible hand is more than happy to grind human beings into a fine paste if it's worth money. And if that's the thing you want, like, think real hard about that, because you're probably not, you probably don't think you're as above average as you think you are, and you're probably going to be ground into a fine paste like the rest of us plebes. So be careful what you wish for. And okay, and I don't mean to throw all my libertarian bros under the bus. I know plenty of guys who actually know what the fuck they're talking about, but there's so many of those like college freshman grade, and I read Ayn Rand, I'm so smart guys who I'm like, no. You don't understand when they're talking about letting loose the exceptional people. You're probably not one of the exceptional people. Like if you're 1 in a million in China, there's 1,000 of you. Like, think like that. And are you really 1 in a million? Because like, I don't know if you really know what like top 1%, top 1/10% really looks like in a thing. Like, like, step back and think, am I, like, if I were not exceptional, how would the boot heel of the economy feel about my feelings? And grounded to a fine paste is probably where you're going to end up being. So, and I wish more people played Eve at the level of like the SCC Lounge, so that I could sort of get through their head that like, no, the invisible hand of the market likes monopolies. Like, let me tell you about OTEC and how if you are being a truly invisible hand thing, the system likes to find stable equilibriums where where the money pools in on a thing and it all goes to the top. Like the system finds a stable equilibrium, and the stable equilibrium doesn't give a shit about you. So that's my political rant. And like I love and I love and so this is the problem I have, is that like when it comes to real life economics, I like I said, I lean pretty hard left. Well, American left, not European left, as what's his butt, Caleb will remind me, that. But like when it comes to Eve again is the libertarian ideal. Like, you want to go show where that goes and run the Eve economy in that brutalist, no holds barred, anarcho-capitalism, like, sure. And therefore bringing it all the way around, the economy doesn't give a shit what the price of Plex is, right? And this is why I have a really hard time getting on the hype train about people being like, oh God, Plex is higher than it's ever been. What will we do? I remember when it was 300 million and wasn't it better back in the day? Like, no, dudes, you don't understand. It's a system and it's looking for an equilibrium, and there are reasons why it's going there, and we can talk about fixing the problems that make it that way. But like, it's a really complicated system, and just because you want to fix like one thing, like if Plex prices is your real problem, like the price of things is the end of a very complicated nonlinear equation. And there are things you can do to bring Plex price down. That is, one, reduce liquidity would do it. This is why I am advocating for a 20% nerf to Sanctums and the PvE anoms in nullsec. And that would bring the price down, but like, then like you're playing with fire there. If you bring liquidity out of the system, yes, I think we have too much liquidity. Yes, I think that we can bring it back down to like a 1.4 or a 1.2 trillion a day habit, and bring in new fountains to help offset us back to the 2 trillion a day number we were at. Like, I think that 2 trillion a day isn't an evil number. I'd like it a little bit lower, but I always want things a little bit harder than they actually are. But like, to get there, you got to nerf nullsec, and you got to nerf nullsec hard, and those people are going to be pissed, and they are they hold almost every seat on the council. So when they get pissed, CCP is going to hear no fucking end of it, and it doesn't matter if it's good for the health of the game. If like that's a really hard pill to swallow. I do not envy someone like Rise and Fozzie, who would have to deliver that bad news, even though the likes of CCP Recurve are the guys who actually have to do it. But it's at some point somebody has to pay. And do you want to nerf nullsec PvE? Do you want to pay 2.1, 2.2, 2.5 billion a month for the game? Do you want the only meaningful way to generate that kind of money so that you can play for free be nullsec ratting, because it's just going to make the blue donut problem worse? Like, you can have it all with the economy. Anything is possible. You just have to be willing to pay for it. And at some point, people stop wanting to pay for it, or at some point, people want to start to bargain. And here I am giving you the tools to do that bargaining. So Luciferus, I don't think anybody deserves to like let's not throw around the word deserves, right? Because that gets all sticky, and like, you aren't entitled to jack shit. Like, Eve is cold. Eve doesn't give a shit about you, right? Like, hooray! That's why we love it so much. Is it punches us in the face and calls us bad names. But like, even if it comes down to a spiritual thing, and much like when the price of gold gets super high IRL, and people start talking about, well, do we have faith in the American economy? Do we have faith in the euro? Are we going to move our stuff from these floating currencies into something tangible that I can hold, that I can put under my bed and sleep on every night? Plex is gold, right? Like, Plex is it doesn't do anything to the game. Almost, it does almost nothing to the game, right? But it is the symbol of wealth. It's the symbol of net worth. It is the stick to which everything is measured. And if that stick gets longer, if that measure gets longer and it gets harder to reach, even if at the end of the day you still have your billion ISK or whatever, like you still got to billion ISK. Like this should be a big celebration. I finally got my first billion ISK. You're looking at Plex, you're going, well, fuck, man, I need twice that. And I already hustled so hard to get the first billion. Like, fuck this shit. Like, it becomes a more of a spiritual drain than a real tangible drain on the market. And like, I try really hard to use this show as an opportunity to help people look more critically at stuff, and to not just give you the numbers, but give you the tools to look at this and to think critically about, should we fix it? How could we fix it? How can I profit off of it? How can I avoid getting screwed by it? So like it's complicated and there's no one right answer, but like the forum, like I want a better class of forum whores, right? Like I want to turn you guys into a better class of forum whores who could say, well, actually, if we look at the monthly economic numbers, we can see that liquidity is at an all-time high, and, well, ISK velocity is starting to slump, so where is all that money going to go? It's going to go straight into Plex, and Plex is going to keep rising, and really, this means that nullsec ratters are really running the fucking show here, where in the past, incursion runners got kicked in the teeth for it, and wormhole runners got kicked in the teeth about it. You know what? It's nullsec's turn to get kicked in the teeth about it. Like, fuck this shit, it's stupid, and they're getting too much free money, and I'm angry, and I'm going to do something about it. Like, that's sort of the thing. Abaddon 21, other prices have not inflated. They're actually deflating because of the nature of production. You should always expect that, like, so the numbers to watch for, like, if you work your way around the circle, ISK quantity versus ISK velocity will help tell you where Plex is going, right? High quantity, low velocity means the Plex is going to go higher. Plex is going to soak it up like a sponge, right? That's step one. Step two, with that velocity going down, that means activity is going down. But productivity is usually 3 times destruction, right? Like this is starting to feel like I need a Glenn Beck chalkboard here. So if the steam is leaving the system, we expect other prices to fall. They're doing so very slowly, and we're seeing things start to get cooler, and so we should see raw materials start to stack up, PvP equipment start to slide in price. The price of living goes down in this regime, even if the price of Plex continues to rise. Like, these things are only connected by the the real big headline number here is ISK velocity. And that's why that's why it's the number one thing I look at every time the MER comes out, is I'm looking for velocity, because that, more than PCU numbers, more than PvP numbers are close, but ISK velocity is the number one measurement of activity in the market, and as that goes down, prices should fall, because volatility will go down as that number goes down, competition goes down, margins go down, supplies go up, things get cheaper. Looking on the other side of that, looking at the price of Plex, velocity and cash supply tell you about the price of Plex, because velocity tells you how high the number should be, how high the stable equilibrium for liquid cash is. It tells you how much water you need in the reservoir to run the pipes, essentially. Like, that's sort of the metaphor I'm going for here. But as the supply ramps up and the demand ramps down, we have to, like, that, all of that extra weight has to go somewhere, and it goes straight into Plex. It gets shuttled into Plex because that's a wealth store. It's easy to cash into and cash out of, and as long as we have excess cash stacking up, the price of Plex will continue to rise. So that's my long roundabout thing. It's why the two things I care most about in the MER are always ISK velocity and ISK quantity, because those set the direction of the show more than anything else. Those are the number one metrics I look for there, and then I look for PvP metrics as the next thing down the list when I'm trying to figure out, like, the general trend for things. Nickpa is asking, is Plex counted in the ISK velocity? I believe it is, yes. But the thing about ISK velocity when it goes in is it doesn't get washed multiple times, is it just gets chucked into Plex and it sits there, right? Like, you put an ISK into a ship, well, you know, ISK had to buy the minerals, and ISK had to pay for the building, and ISK had to be exchanged for the ship, and then ISK is going to be exchanged again when it gets blown up. Like, it gets touched multiple times through its lifetime in the ISK velocity thing. But when you buy into Plex, you only ever touch the ISK once, and it goes straight in, and you don't think about it again. This is where we can get over the 1.0 mark on ISK printed versus ISK used, is because if you have a big cash grab where I need liquid cash, like during World War B, like during the Citadel launch, that money comes rushing out of Plex, and it can still be bought up because there's enough liquid reserves floating around that we can get above parity for amount of ISK created versus ISK being used, is kind of the way to think of it. But what I'm saying, Nickpaw, is that it only gets touched once, right? Is that a PvP ship gets touched many times on the market over its lifetime. And even if the stuff is neutral, like, it gets to live several lives before leaving the system. Whereas Plex only gets touched once. So it only gets counted once. It doesn't end up trading and moving from person to person. New Plex gets created by dollars, which is absolutely not counted by the ISK velocity. We don't have a dollar velocity talking about how how many Plex are being created. So that's a piece of the equation we don't have. But the ISK velocity only counts basically trade operations, right? It only counts wallet transactions at the end of the day, right? And there are very few people who are buying a Plex today, buying a Plex off the market one week, selling it the next week, and really moving supplies in and out. If they are moving supplies, it's on a much larger time frame or a much smaller volume, and it just doesn't count towards the grand total the way that everything else does. And yes, day traders are artificially. I don't really love that word in the thing, but they are contributing to it because they are creating transactions. And even though those transactions are neutral transactions, they count towards ISK velocity because they're being used. It's ISK going through the system. It's ISK moving in the economy. So yeah, and Plex does make up 50% of the net market, and But again, it only counts once. It only gets counted once. It only trades once. You don't really station trade Plex like you do ammo, like you do the arbitrage. You don't really do those things with Plex. You do them with everything else, and so they get to be used actively more times. At least that's the justification I see in my brain. Let's see, what else? Do we have any more questions? Oh, Tycho, I did miss you. Did we talk enough about the wormhole trying to cartel, but they aren't really doing? Doofus, to cheat, just put it into index funds, man. Low fees, get a decent mix of stuff. The one part of my 401k I've had a really hard time investing into. So I've got the index funds, I've got a little bit of bond fund, like almost none, and I've got some international stocks for my high risk pool. But the thing I'm supposed to jump onto is REITs, real estate investments, and I just have such a hard time adding those into my portfolio because I'm like, it's a bubble. I don't really want to hold it. Why don't I just? I'm gonna get burned. It's gonna burn. I know I should be buying REITs, but like if you're gonna get me on my lefty rant, REITs are the fucking devil, man. Like, you want to talk about why bubbles keep going on and all these fucking garbage houses getting millions of dollars for squatters' huts in Silicon Valley. Like, REITs are not helping. And that's real estate investment trusts, by the way, is REIT. And it's probably just because I'm on the West Coast, and so I'm watching the bubble unfold. And like, I've been reading Deming lately, and his thing about the Japanese real estate boom has me so fucking triggered. So yeah, I'm so, I know, like, I keep looking at him, right? Like, I've been on my Robinhood account, and I know that I need to spin a bit out of QQQ into something like a REIT. And like, one of my buddies has been talking to me about industrial REITs, which make a little bit more sense because I'm like, industry sure does seem to be coming back on shore, and like, I don't have terrible feelings about industrial and business productivity in the next 10 years. Like, but like, the only options I've gone through so far have been ones that are talking about residential, which, fuck that shit. No way. Not touching residential with a 10-foot fucking pole. Especially one that came up on my feed was like, by New York. I'm like, all of my nope. And then the other one is medical, and I'm like, ooh, like the pessimist in me really wants to go buy medical REITs, because America's fucking stupid, and we have our heads so far up our asses, and that stupid fucking healthcare bill is going to pass and get signed, and oh god, the CBO scores are so awful. Why did nobody tell us? Crocodile tears all the way to the fucking bank. So like, I'm so close to pulling the trigger on a medical REIT, but I haven't found the one I really love yet. And if I could do better regional, I would do it. Like, I don't want to do a West Coast fund, but if I got something in the Southwest, I'd probably buy that. I'd probably buy a Southwest REIT. Probably something more East Coast as well. Not like New York, but like the Carolinas down in the South is another spot I probably wouldn't hate buying, but like, ooh, give me the heebie-jeebies, man, heebie-jeebies. And the whole point is you have to diversify so that when one area has a good day, you balance out the good days and the bad days, you make more money, right? The other one that I really want to go play a little bit harder on is the and apartments. Yeah, I'd buy apartments, but I've had a hard time finding apartment funds. I really want to get the other piece of my portfolio that's missing, and I've been looking for a good on-ramp, is something physical like oil or minerals. I have this conspiracy theory, right? Like, so everybody gets one. This is my stupid conspiracy theory. Is that the words? If you really believe in the Trump Russia butt buddies thing, right? If you're going to go way down that rabbit hole, the one thing that would make Daddy Putin very, very happy is higher oil prices, because that would really let him and his cronies really soar, is high oil prices. And it would give him more leverage over Europe, over the gas lines. Like high oil prices will make a lot of people very happy. And on the other side of the equation, Trump should want it just as badly, because his Rust Belt is going to be very well fueled by high energy prices. Even if they talk a big fucking talk about coal is going out. Everybody fucking knows it. But oil and gas continues to be a not bad place to be. And we're in a position to really lead the market for oil and gas if prices were to turn around again. So this has been my secret hope, is that you invest in oil funds and things get turned around, and you get to go, as the world burns down, you at least get a nice yacht out of the deal. Unfortunately, watching USO has been going into the frickin' toilet, and my brilliant prognostication and my super brilliant tinfoil hat making have not come to fruition, and nobody on the market agrees with me. So I'm just a crazy person talking to my internet people about my internet conspiracy. So I mean, this is my that I'll grant everyone like one weird conspiracy theory, as long as it's an interesting one. But like, if I have to hear about chemtrails, I'm like, whatever, casual. Give me something good. Give me something about the lizard government, man. I want to hear about. I want to hear about how the faked moon landing made all my frogs gay. Like, that's the stuff I want to hear. But instead, don't attribute to what is it? Don't attribute to malice what can be described by incompetence. Seems to be the playbook of the current White House, is just fucking it all the way up. we weren't supposed to win. Like I bet I'm willing to put money on a bet that comes out if whoever ends up going to jail for the shit is, we weren't supposed to win. It's going to be the soundbite that comes out of that. I don't know who's going to get burned. I don't know. Like, it's not going to be Trump. If anything, he gets to go retire and live out Mar-a-Lago with his little map. But like, one of the middlemen is going to get burned by it. It's going to be, we weren't supposed to win. We just wanted to take the election, the shitty election rules, and make a shit ton of money because we could give ourselves loans and have idiot racists pay for them. Like, we weren't supposed to win. We were taking Russia's money because we were going to lose, and nobody would give a shit. We were going to be rich. That's what I totally expect. That and what's his butt? Bannon ends up in a pedophile ring. That's my second death pool. But yeah, we're going down in the weeds of politics, and I should probably just end it there. I don't think Trump's going to hang. I seriously don't. Because I don't because it would require true malfeasance, and he's just an idiot. and he's too rich and too white. They'll never send him to jail. He won't get the chair. And even if he does, like again, I'm with John Oliver in the whole, like, who's next? It's Pence. Pence is a fucking loon. At least Pence is a real politician, for fuck's sake. But yeah. And then who's after that? More garbage people. Well, it's garbage all the way through the freaking system. Like, fuck. Anyway. Cliff Booland is asking a real Eve question so we can stop talking about politics. That basic top 10 tips for new trader. Hopefully they're Eve ones because I'm answering Eve ones. Because the things I look for are, one, you want very high margin when you're starting. You're looking for the things that turn around the most buck for your bang. The next thing you're going to look for is specializing. You want to pick a market. You want to own it. You want to understand everything about it. You want to live, sleep, drink, and eat at that market. And so, like, if those are things like the ammo markets, those are things like the mission rewards markets. There are things like the faction warfare markets. There are arbitrage for supplying PvP hubs. These are all things that don't take a ton of money to do, but are grossly helped by understanding the nuts and bolts all the way down. The thing you want to do, again, like I said, is you want to get high margin for what you're doing so that you can turn around and double as fast as you can. Really get the momentum going, because you're going to build that momentum to get a nest egg going, and then you're going to slowly transition into lower margin, higher volume items that run slower and require less effort. Because that's the third part of this, is that those high value margin stuff is lots of effort. It's high labor work to really do it. It's hard to keep the orders open and up to date and shit moved around, and you're going to have to figure out how to transition from your first thing that is purely just a get money to make money thing into a nest egg that actually works. This is the point where I believe you can go ahead and branch out. Where you may have owned one market, there's plenty of great opportunities right next to that one market. Are you doing ammo? Well, maybe you should be looking at Tech 1 production, and not the basic Tech 1 production. Like, you should really be getting ISK per hour and downloading that, running it, figuring out the stuff that's really worth doing. Getting BPOs that are cheap, that you can turn around for decent money, move fast and break stuff kind of thing. Are you moving stuff around? Well, maybe if you're doing PvP supply, you can move from that ammo or from that meta items into Tech 2 stuff. If you're going to Tech 2, you might as well build some of it is an option. You might be looking into moving ships into the area because that's higher value work. Do you want to start building out tooling? Do you want to start building out, do you want to just pick something up off the shelf, something like Eve Mogul, if you're just doing pure trading, something like ISK per hour, if you're doing manufacturing. This is like the things that make you win in Eve are specialization and determination. So use those to your advantage and start with something really high margin when you start, because that's the thing that's the trap I always see new players get into is, oh, I want to do this thing, but I'm going to go ahead and build ships at a 3% margin. I'm like, why? Stop doing that. Stop it. You should be making like 30% margin. You should be making 40% margin on some bullshit thing because somebody's too lazy to move their shit for themselves. You should be using the things at your disposal, like cheap jump freighter freight if you're in nullsec, or free planets to run high grade PI on if you're in lowsec, or using the Thucker stuff once the new ECs come out if you're in lowsec. Like get onto something that makes a lot of sense and leverage the crap out of it. Like own it and specialize in it and use it to its maximum. Don't go off and do because everybody else builds fuel blocks or fuel blocks are easy. Like, come on, man, you're better than that. You're all better than that. Like, make drugs, trade drugs. Drugs are awesome. Or own the moon goo markets. It's a bad time to on-ramp, but like there's a lot of great patterns in the moon goo markets if you're willing to put the legwork in to go understand them. There's tons of stuff moving in these complicated systems, and it just requires you to become that expert. So I can't tell you all of the tricks for all of the things because I don't even know all of them, or we'd be here all night. But specialize, own it, destroy it. Do more drugs. Except if you're in the US IRL, don't do drugs or Jeff Sessions will come to your house. I'm going to go ahead and end the show here. I want to thank everybody who tuned in live. We will be back next week. I believe next week. Do keep tuned. I might cancel 50-50. We'll be back. We will keep doing the show. Join the Discord so you can come talk shop with us. And I will be back next week. Fly safe, dudes.